Okay, we're going to start right here. We'll record this. Hi, everyone. Let's see, we got a small group today. You want to introduce yourselves? Rosalind?
Hi, I'm Rosalind Albert, the Kinship and Lifestyle and Respite Program Manager in Washington State.
Wonderful. Cassandra, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm
We'd seen
doing
you
well,
today.
thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I've been blowing my nose, so I went off.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm leaving for Europe on Monday, and I'm so afraid I'm getting a cold.
Oh,
So anyway, Cassandra Furman with Arch. Hi.
all right. Wonderful. Abby?
Hi, I'm Abby with the New York State Office for the Aging.
Celeste?
Hi, I'm Celeste. I'm the Assistant Director with the Illinois Respite Coalition.
Thank you. Hey, all right, I'm going to read this story. Okay, so think about this, and you're going to be the supervisor or somebody providing some feedback on this. My first real job out of college was as an administrative assistant at a large nonprofit on the East Coast. Like most administrative professionals, I did a little of everything: IT, graphic design, event planning, filing, cleaning, just generally holding the whole place together. One thing I wasn't involved in was development. While the organization itself was quite large, spanning several floors and countless departments, the team I was part of was small. We only had a few grants, all of them from the city and directly related to the specific programs we ran. For the most part, the director and program managers submitted the same grant proposals every few years, and that was it. But then they launched a new grant, a big one. It would have allowed several departments within the organization, including ours, to fund much needed community programs. And a group of us decided to write and submit the grant proposal together, hoping to score a big pot of money we could all use. I was so excited. While I had a degree in writing and had interned at various nonprofits throughout college, this would be the first grant I ever worked on. I was considering development as a possible career path, and I couldn't wait to learn the ins and outs of the process from people who had a ton of experience. And this is the last time I will probably want to be grant writer, as you probably can figure out how it went. The meeting took almost 2 hours, and a good 20 minutes of that time was spent agreeing on what font we wanted to use. The remaining time was spent divvying up all the tasks needed to complete the proposal by the deadline. In the weeks that followed, we never met again, and no one did the task they were assigned. Oh, and no one used the font we agreed on. And at 4:56 p.m. on the day it was due, my boss walked our part of the grant through the office after he discovered that the person who'd signed up to deliver it had already left with her department's part. I don't actually remember if we got that grant, but I do remember thinking, what went wrong? So our discussion today is going to be, what advice did we give in this situation? Any thoughts?
I've written a lot of grants, and I've been on a lot of teams, and I've never quite had anything like that happen. It just seems that from the get-go, well, she was excited about writing the grant. She really wanted to do it. I wonder if everyone else was. So I think people who are, starting, from the get-go, starting out with commitments and finding out, it could be that some folks really didn't want to participate.
It was just
It
one more
sounds
thing.
like they set up with clear expectations, maybe. The deal about the font, hey, there's going to be one person at the end who formats everything. So that's, to me, kind of a minor thing, because it's going to go to one document. We're going to format it. So anyway, so there I am.
So there are some suggestions on what the importance is, and that maybe that font isn't something, if it's not spelled out in the grant document or what font needs to be used, that is handled by the last person that handles the document. That might be a way to delegate and assign the tasks, right?
Yeah, and check with the requirements of the grant. Hey, in fact, I always like it if there's one person whose job is to go through the grant with a fine-tooth comb, the RFP, and identify all the things that have to happen. And I always say, I'm not doing the budget. I don't know. So, identifying what people are good at and what they want to do.
I wondered if
And
there was a
follow-up.
problem with their
Weekly follow-up,
conveying.
daily. Yeah.
Yeah. There was obviously some expectations that people knew what the overall vision was, right? That's what I felt
Yeah.
like. Is like, here we have this grant. It's, we're all doing little parts of it. What's the overall vision? Was that being conveyed? So we knew what we were aiming for. Any other thoughts? How would you help this group out?
It also sounded like they lacked leadership in following the tasks that everyone had been assigned. I know in all the grants I've been involved with, we have regular meetings, regular follow-ups, emails back and forth, so that someone's a taskmaster,
Yeah,
Like
so
you said,
assign a
Cassandra,
taskmaster.
if someone's good at that, then that's what they should be doing. They should be the one that's making sure everyone's hitting the marks and meeting their expectations time-wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It seems like they lacked like a strong leader to be able to push it through to the end and make sure that everything was completed.
Apparently in the story, there were people who had some experience, but you wonder how much experience they each had. So maybe it would have been important to talk about past experience and what they could bring to this particular group, right? To say, I can do this part or that part. Like Cassandra said, maybe I'm not the budget person, but somebody else could do a better job of doing that, or we together can come up with the budget. Maybe that's a group effort that we kind of fill in the blanks on that. How many of you have felt like you were in a position where you're the most inexperienced person on the team and you're expecting others to kind of step up in leadership? I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but I can
I'm
imagine.
73. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Okay,
But I
well,
have.
even going from, one department to another, there's a huge learning curve, right? So sometimes you think you're the least experienced on that, maybe that those grants or those projects, but you might be the one that has the time management skills. You might have the better at writing. You might have the ability to ask the questions that need to be kind of asked so that it kind of spells out the grant and the dialogue of the grant proposal, and talks through some of the questions that you might have. Being inexperienced might be a valuable role to play and say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions so that we can talk it out, and maybe then you can still feel like you're contributing in that way. So criticisms, how would you approach what were some of the barriers that they encountered? Do you have any sense of the barriers that they were experiencing?
Well, I'm not sure who would be responsible for this, but did they allocate sufficient time? Did they allocate from the beginning ongoing? My friend Susan Summers, who you've met, she and I have had many a slumber party where we just wrote grants, and we knew this weekend we're spending Friday and Saturday night together, and that would be it. It was a work party. So allocating sufficient time, but I don't know who was in charge, but someone should have. If you have experience in grant writing, especially if it's a big federal grant.
Yeah. So the next time this gal or this person, I don't know if it's a gal, but next time this administrative assistant's involved in a grant, development project, what do you think would be the first things that that person would recommend that happens?
I think time, blocking off sufficient time. So she would need a mentor, someone who has written whatever kind of grant it is and has an idea. For example, a small foundation grant might be very different than a federal grant.
Yeah.
But they need to be connected and mentored, I think, with someone who's had that experience. And I don't care what they say on the grants, they say the Paper Reduction Act, this should take X number of hours to complete. That's absolute called, what's it called? Magic realism. It's not happening,
Yeah. Yeah. How many of you have had to give constructive feedback to people that you work with or who you supervise? Have any of you had to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Have you? Maybe some of us are on small teams. How many of you feel like you're getting the direction that you needed to do your job? You got good supervisors?
I
Yeah,
just
we're a
asked a
small
lot of
team.
questions.
Yep.
You're small, but you what was that, Abby?
No, I was just agreeing with what Rosalind said. We're a small team, but we get the job done. And I feel like I have a really good supervisor to, ask a lot of questions and get the feedback that's needed. So
Okay. All right, wonderful. All right, well, we're gonna need to be ones that can actually identify those specific problems or what are barriers, convey a vision maybe for what this group is going to accomplish, maybe develop some partnerships, have a mentor, and talk about our performance the last time, right? That's in the past. What can we do different in the future? So anyone have thoughts about how you would phrase that the next time the group got together in a feedback loop on what they just did?
Boy, if I were their supervisor, I would take a heck of a lot of responsibility for what happened, because letting loose. So I would start by saying, I think I failed you. I've realized that this is a new thing. You're excited about it, and I really appreciate that excitement. And I feel that I should have been providing you with a mentor or some more help. What could I do for you so that in the future, the next time we have a project like this, we're successful? So I'm going to take responsibility for my stuff, because a supervisor shouldn't have let that happen. And then let them say, well, we probably needed more time. Could you help us could you have set guidance for us about when we get together again, and feedback loops. So I think I'd start right there by accepting responsibility for my stuff.
Yeah. Now you can see how important giving direction is when we come to talking about being productive. These people worked hard. Maybe they worked really hard on their parts, only to have it not fit together in any cohesive proposal, and it didn't get there on time. It was late, it was disorganized, pieces were showing up at different times. How horrible. And so there's a lot to grow, improve from that, right? So I want you to think about that, looking at people doing the very best they can with what they know how to do, and encouraging some improvements in their time management, the assignment and delegation of tasks, their responsibilities, and accountability on that. All of that is tied to what we've been talking today about performance. Okay, we're gonna head out of our group because we've got a great presentation ahead. So I appreciate you contributing your thoughts to this discussion. And we will see you back in the main group. Okay.